Hi, I'm here with horror producer extraordinaire Jason Blum, who is Skyping with us from the production office where he's filming right now in New York City. Jason, you're making so many films, and you have The Purge coming out this week.
It's been a long run up to this day, so it's a very charged day, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, I saw the film, and I was really impressed with the such strong social commentary. And I was wondering, what came first, the high concept idea of The Purge, or the idea of this message, and then you thought about how to deliver it?
It was James DeMonaco who wrote and directed the movie, and the first thing that came up was the high concept. It was actually, the story was he was driving in his car with his wife, and the traffic was driving him crazy. He was like, I'm going to kill someone. And his wife said, what if that were legal for 12 hours a year?
But I have to also ask, though, as a producer, how do you balance entertaining the audience with, not encouraging this kind of behavior in real life?
Well, hopefully, like you said, you saw the movie. Hopefully you don't come out of the movie thinking the purge is a good idea. I don't know. So hopefully we're not advocating for a purge. And I'm really mostly interested in making movies, and if there happens to be kind of a social context to them as well, that's great. But that would be, the order is like fun, scary movie, and if other stuff comes along, great. But the other stuff doesn't come first.
Well, it really was a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Oh, good.
And you started out working with Ethan Hawke. That was your first gig with his theater company.
Yeah, we've known each other for 20 years. We've been great friends for a long time, and we produced theater together a long time ago. Then I did Hamlet with him about 12 years ago. And after I did Paranormal Activity, I've been trying to talk him into doing a horror movie unsuccessfully. I actually sent him Insidious, and he passed. But then he agreed to do Sinister, and he doesn't like horror movies. He doesn't like to watch them. And I said, doing one is very different than watching one. And I was proven right, and he loved it. He had a great time. And at the end of Sinister, he said, let's do another one of these together. And I gave him the script to James's movie, and he said yes. And we were shooting The Purge almost 6 months after we made Sinister.
Well, I was really impressed with his big fight scene in the film.
Yeah.
How was it putting that together?
It was good. We produced the movie with Platinum Dunes. That's Michael Bay's company. And Brad and Andrew from Platinum Dunes were really, really involved from the first day of development till the final day we finished the movie. And so they brought a bunch of Michael Bay's crew, and we were really helped with Michael Bay's stuntmen and a bunch of guys that Michael Bay works with. So they were on a much more limited budget than they're used to, but I think they did a great job.
Well, that's interesting. That leads me into my next question. I mentioned in my review of the film that Michael Bay was a co-producer with you, and it kind of sparked a little semi-argument in the comments about the role of producer versus director, how much people weigh in. So I was wondering, at least on this film, could you clarify how you balance so many strong voices?
Yeah, they were, like I said, they were very involved. Ultimately, I think because Michael Bay's a filmmaker, he appreciates the fact that the final say lies with the director. Mm-hmm. So we would present a bunch of different options to James, and then the authorship of the movie really lies with the director. James wrote and directed the movie, and the what you see on the screen were things that he ultimately wanted. But it's my job as a producer to put a bunch of choices in front of him. And that's what Platinum Dunes did. That's what we did. And our editor was from Michael Bay's company, and our DP was from Michael Bay's company. So those were some choices that he made from Platinum Dunes' suggestions.
Also, as a producer, it's rare for a producer to have such a great reputation, as an artist like you do. And I think, you're just really on top of the horror genre. So how do you develop a voice as a producer? I think when people are trying to be an auteur, they don't think of going into producing, but how have you made that something you can put your stamp on?
I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I took a long time to kind of find my niche. I was always had one foot in independent cinema and one foot in the studio movie business, and those two businesses are very separate. And it took a while to figure out that what I really wanted to do was figure out a way to combine those, to make movies on my own, but have them distributed by studios. That's what we did with Paranormal. That's what we did Sinister, Insidious. That's what we're doing with The Purge. And that is my niche in this business. And that's not exactly the answer to your question, but I guess time. It took a long time to figure it out, but I finally figured out my place.
Well, I have to say, I think that I can really see that influence of independent film. And you worked at Miramax as acquisitions and development. I can see how that influences your horror films. And so, is that where your idea for the small budgets and focusing on story comes from?
It definitely is. It came a lot from this experience I had through Paranormal Activity, which was made totally off the grid independently and then released by a big studio. And I always say we have a very auteur system because everyone in our movies works for free, and it's an auteur system except we make very commercial movies. So unlike Europe, where that comes from, or France in particular, we don't make art house movies, but we use the auteur system, which is that everyone works for free, and we tell it. But I think you can't ask someone to work for free and not let them do what they want to do. So the deal I make with the creative people involved in the movie, the director or the writer-director, is we're not going to pay. You're only going to make money if the movie makes money, but you get to do exactly what you want to do. And I always say I can't promise you a hit movie, but I can promise you that the movie you make is going to be yours. So you're going to live or die on your own sword. And that's kind of the model that we've stuck with.
That's fascinating. The fact that you can get everyone to, but I mean, what you're giving them is invaluable in its own. But this is a big thing that people are talking about. Can Hollywood and the artists coexist? Do you find the studio system, I mean, obviously because you're turning such a big profit, I'm sure that helps with your relationship with the studios, but do you think that studios maybe are coming around more to this as they see box office financial results?
Well, I'm in a very different, this primary business of the studios are tentpole movies. Mm-hmm. I never have made, I will never make, I have no aspiration to make those kind of movies. That's a very different business. And studios need to fill out their slate with less expensive movies, and typically the budget of those movies has been $15 to $35 million. And I'm really looking to play in that arena and bring that cost way, way down. And my relationship with Universal is a really productive, fantastic relationship, and we've learned a lot from each other doing these micro-budget movies together. They're not used to obviously doing movies at this level. They weren't when we started. They really are now. The thing that I found in terms of collaborating with the studio and the artist living with the studio is as soon as you give artists total creative control, he never stops asking for advice. As long as he feels confident, or she feels confident that his or her decision stands, mm-hmm. they're much more likely to ask advice. And so the creative conversations that we have with Universal in this case have been much more productive than a traditional studio financed movie.
Oh, that's brilliant because no one has their guard up.
Exactly.
Right?
There's no one's squaring off. No one's squaring off.
Oh, that's great. So my last question I wanted to ask you is you have a busy year. Dark skies. Now you have the Purge, Insidious Chapter 2, Paranormal Activity 5.
Right.
How do you
and Jezebel.
And Jezebel. So yeah, so many films. How do you continue to put out so many films in an environment that's getting more competitive and more crowded and keep the genre, evolving?
Well, I'm crazy about my budgets, so we don't ever pursue higher budgeted movies. I think a lot of producers make low budget movies when they can't get a big budget movie made. I'm not trying to make bigger budgeted movies. That's one way. The second way is we have great partners on all the movies. Platinum Dunes, for instance, like we talked about on The Purge, and I have a producing on almost every single movie we do. We have a very active producing partner working with us, and that's another way that we're able to do it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to me.